Hello, I'm Laura. I am a painter and a self-taught carpenter and sign writer. I love painting big. In this case, we are painting a wildflower mural for an eco website building company. Join me while I paint and I will talk you through the steps I take to get to the final piece. The paints I'm using are mainly standard emulsion you would use in your home. I collect tins from all over, but people have only used half of or bought too much, so they don't end up going to waste. First I sketch out the design I have had approved straight on the wall. This isn't always the case. Sometimes I use paper template or projector, but in this case the space wasn't ideal to project as it was quite narrow, and as flowers are organic, they lend themselves well to hand drawn. I didn't draw on where the grass was going to go with the pencil, I just decided on what looked best as I went. Varying the heights and the curvature lets it feel more natural. I don't know the name of the brushes I'm using here. They are normally used for glossing interior doors, but work perfectly for my grass strands, and they hold just the right amount of paint, which is super satisfying. Unless I'm using specific block colours on a design, I like to pop loads of different colours or shades of the colour on the brush, just sort of pack it full of different paints. With the grass it's sort of like a bright yellow or dark green, and as I brush it onto the wall the colours mix and it stops it from looking too cartoony. The final result is quite cartoony itself, but it just adds more dimension without you having to go back and forth, adding different colours, different variations when it's all on the brush and does it for you. Once all the grass strands were finished, we moved on to the bluebells. Absolutely love the colour of bluebells, and I use similar technique as I was saying before about keeping the brush dirty so that the colours mix themselves as I go, sort of using the wall itself as a palette to blend all the colours together. This doesn't work very well if it's super warm, but luckily for me it was quite cold while I was painting this, which you can probably tell because of the woolly hat and gloves. Next, while I still had my green paints out and mixed in the palette, I decided to go along the whole wall and put in the stems and the different types of leaves for all the flowers. I decided to make the base colour of each of these darker than the grass, just so they stand out a bit more and don't get too lost within the grass background. It's coming to the end of day one at this point, so I decided to quickly run across the wall and put all the petals in for the daisies, because these are going to have to dry so that I can do all the centres tomorrow. I used a beigey colour and white on top so that they still had some form of shadowing, so you'd be able to see the petals against the white wall more clearly. Started the next day doing the logo for the company. It's Danu Designs is their name. I'm using my maul stick and my sign writing brushes here to get a more precise line, so it's neater compared to the flowers that I'm doing. They're a little bit more organic. The small red flowers you see me doing here are really simple just because there's lots of them. By adding the red on these sides, that helps balance out the colours across the whole piece. I was so excited about the daffodil. It was one of the biggest, most focal points in the whole design along the wall, and it's just bright yellow, it's happy, and it really adds a statement piece to something that all the other colours, that we got the bright blue and the bright yellow and the bright red, and it just really makes it impactful against the green grass that we got going on. And it was just the same technique really. I was just using smaller brushes for these to add more varying shades of like orange and yellow, but it all builds up on the wall. I just mix it and blend it in as I go. The brushes start to get smaller and smaller as I get into more detail. When I'm working on the lavender, you can see me using the palette, and it's just a mess of different colour paints, and I just dab it in and then pop it on the wall, and you can see it blends as I paint. It's a bit of a juggling act going back and forward between what I'm doing, just so that things have enough time to dry, or I've got to do them quickly enough so they have enough time, they don't dry too much so the colours can still blend. The orange flowers were a bit of a last minute addition. I knew I was going to put flowers there, but I didn't really have any reference photos with me. You can see the reference photos on the wall that I've just printed out as a guide to what, I'm not copying them directly, just to remind me how that flower sort of sits, and what sort of shadowing it has on it. But with the orange flowers, I just sort of made it up. I just felt the piece needed another bright colour to balance out against the yellow daffodil. And here is the final piece all together. It came together really nicely and is quite eye-catching as half of the office is a big window, and it really catches your eye. The total length of the piece was about 6 meters, and it took around 2 days to complete. I've been told that the final office will be finished up with an AstroTurf floor and matching yellow, comfy mustard coloured chairs. So it will really bring it all together once that's all put in. And I can't wait to see it. Thank you for watching. I hope that you can take something away from this if you're painting a mural in your own home. If you'd like to see more of my work, check me out on Facebook and Instagram. See you next time. Bye!